Hello. How is everyone doing? Yes. I know we are a little bit late. Hello?
See what I'm saying? Like, he could just come back in and we could be talking about some really raunchy Oh, hi, Cody.
Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this week's episode of the Azeroth Taphouse.
Oh my god,
Hello.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about this evening. Prepatch went live this week, finally. Holy Paladins have been crying all week after yesterday's beta changes.
Okay.
Just some other stuff. We got some juicy guild news to announce at the end of the stream. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting lots of good, serious questions from chat this week.
Can we talk about the excellent acting that's going on in Ranger's picture right now? Like, that is fantastically done. I'm going to give him a round of applause for acting.
I don't
that out
understand
perfectly.
how he just sits there and does it over and over and over again.
That was first take, by the way.
That was first take. That was actually done in the first take. I'm actually impressed with that.
You watching Spielberg? All right.
What do you mean, man? I'm the one that shot the shit. Come on.
We're both available. We're a package deal. 24/7. We don't have anything else to do.
Nothing else to fucking do.
Nothing to do.
Except for this and some other things, but this doesn't matter that much.
Nah, this isn't important at all. Okay, so let's just recap our weeks to start with, like we typically do. So let's see. Let's start with James this week. James, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I tried to log into Prepatch the first couple days. It didn't go too well, but I've since then been able to get on, and I've been enjoying it. We've been running some low keys, some high keys. Been having a good time. Oh, one more thing too. I got a new mic, so I'm excited. It's not here yet. It should be here tomorrow, so I'll have it for next week.
That's awesome. More production quality increases to the podcast are on the way. So yeah, small steps at a time. Each week we're adding more and more stuff in, so it gets a little bit better each week. Steve, what about you? What have you been up to this week?
I had no issues with Prepatch whatsoever. I have been enjoying the shit out of leveling. I've leveled a full character and a half of one already in the 3 days that Prepatch has been live, and doing some small keys on the Paladin, medium keys on the Paladin, and stuff along those lines.
Cool. Mike?
I've been... Well, so I played the heck out of Prepatch. Or at least what I could play anyway. The beginning was a little bit rocky, but I've been enjoying checking some stuff out. I started goofing around on a rogue. I'm not anywhere near what Steve has been doing with leveling. I know he's been cranking them out, but yeah. But I think they've done a good job with the leveling. It seems like things have been going quick, and other than that, just playing some more scary games. I did a bunch of pre-patch keys, and that's been fun. Learning the new classes and rotations and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, so I've been doing lots of stuff on Prepatch as well. I had some issues, but not as many as James did. Obviously, Steve had the best luck out of any of us.
It's just because I'm a sweaty neckbeard and I do nothing else in my time.
But yeah, I also fully leveled a character. I'm working on getting some tanks up and ready for Shadowlands. That way, whatever comes about, whatever comes about, whatever changes come, I'll have something ready. Make sure we're good for raid. But leveling feels really good. I leveled a Pally. I got a DK already started that I'll go ahead and level up. And then, yeah. So let's actually just jump right into the pre-patch discussion. Let's talk launch before we actually get into leveling and content and that type of stuff, because launch was kind of all over the place for people. Like, Steve didn't have any issues. James had major issues. I had some issues, but not like a ton. it was just kind of hit or miss for a lot of people.
Mhm.
I think the thing that caught a lot of people off guard was the amount of time it took to actually load into your characters when the first patch went through. Like a lot of people saw the black screen of death and they were just like, "Oh no, this isn't working." Close out, restart. They didn't really realize that they need to let things load and let things process. Once you got past that initial bit, it seemed to go a little bit better, all up until the point where they started with the character not found bug, and that was about 3 hours of the night wasted when that happened.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say it took me like I sat there on the black screen for a good 5+ minutes before my characters wanted to load in, and then after that, of course, is the same thing. I got character not found and couldn't even get in still. So
Yeah, it seemed like if you were in the game and you didn't get DC'd, like if you were in the game and were able to maintain, you didn't run into the character not found bug. But I mean, James was in there for the start of the night, got DC'd, and then you couldn't get back in until the next day, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It was like classic launch all over again. When I got DC'd and then got put into like an 8-hour queue.
oof.
I just got DC'd and then I just kept getting the character not found bug. Which
Yeah.
at least they put a news thing out saying that it was not an add-on related bug, that it was actually like game related and they were working on it. That was good.
Oh, speaking of add-ons, if you have Atlas Loot installed, if you're listening to this podcast, you have Atlas Loot installed, and you are a boomer, James, disable it. Turn it off. It's breaking everyone's game.
So I didn't even know I had it on because, well, here, I've had it installed unbeknownst to me because it's been turned off, but somewhere along the lines of the new patch, it just turned all of my add-ons on. So I usually don't run that thing. I didn't even know I had it.
So what you're saying is you're not a normal boomer.
Correct.
But LVUI is working, and that's what matters.
LVUI is working, and that is all that matters.
So, yeah, I mean, I had some issues with launch. Like, the initial kind of boot in was the same as everyone else. It took a while just to load in. And then everything was pretty smooth for a while. And then I also got DC'd and got that character not found bug the first night. So I just kind of called it quits after sitting. Like, I was actually streaming. I think I sat on stream trying to log back into characters for about 30 minutes. And then I just called it for the night. And came back the next day and didn't really have any issues the following day. There was some server lag and some issues that came like prime time around like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the server. But I mean, other than that, like, it didn't seem like it took them too long to really get most of the things kind of straightened out and stuff.
No, once like after that first day, then same thing here. I've just been pretty much smooth sailing, aside from add-ons and all that. But server-wide issues and all that, those have been fine.
I mean, add-ons are to be expected, though. Like, with any kind of big patch update like this.
I think the one that broke the most has been Details, right? Like Discord or Details has had like 3 breaks in the last 2 days.
But
the guy
has been screwed.
He's patched it and then pushed it and then patched it again and then didn't push it through Curse and then patched it. Like it's.
Well, that's why I joined the Discord and he made a few posts there saying that the stuff that was on the Curse client not to install that, and then he put a direct link, which worked for me. So
Yeah,
I've been trying to send that to the people in our guild.
Yeah, the guy who's been working on that's been kind of busting his ass, and I applaud him.
But I think today he actually did release it finally.
Good.
He did, because today's the first day today's the first day I've been able to use Details. It's been updated through the Twitch client and usable.
If you still have issues with it, just uninstall it and just reinstall it from the Curse client.
Yeah. So, I mean, any other thoughts on like how launch went besides all the bugs and stuff? Like,
I mean, it's a major pre-patch launch. It's honestly what I expected. The fact that they only delayed the drop by an hour, I was expecting it to be like 9 o'clock server. That stuff was staying down, but I mean, the fact that it came up when it did, even though it was buggy and everything else, it was like I said, I ran into no issues, and I'm probably the most biased one out of this group because everyone else seems to have run into issues. But when you got in and you were fine, like it was a playable game and it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, at least on my end, like the whole character not found and all those shenanigans, like that only really lasted an hour or so. At least for me, like I went and I played another game, came back an hour later, and it was all good. So
yeah, it
could have been worse.
It seems like what Zazu said in the chat just now it's mostly just that prime time choke point. If they're going to be able to get past that, maybe add in a couple more shards for launch. I mean, I think launch will be fine.
Yeah, everything should be good then.
I really think the leveling revamp is great overall. It feels much better. It definitely gives me incentive to do it more. Like if a friend needs to level up, you can do it with them, and it's not such a grueling task anymore. So I hope it brings more people in.
Oh, the leveling it's a blast.
Yeah, the leveling feels outstanding.
I mean, I guess we can touch on that now. We'll just skip to that because I mean that's actually a big point we should talk about. Like the leveling feels really good.
Yeah, and while we talk about the leveling, the Exiles Reach key art that came out the other day just looks super fucking good. So yeah, leveling.
We've all done it, right? We've all done the reach to level 10.
Yeah, I think everybody here has done that.
Yeah, I think it's just really well done. I mean, some of it, if you're a veteran player, you gotta remember it's for brand new players. But I think the story was fine. It was short and not too difficult, which is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it was. Go ahead, Cody.
I was gonna say it wasn't difficult. It definitely is very good for new players with the way they did the tutorials and everything like that. Although I do feel like the tutorials maybe could have been a bit more specific to WoW. Like, because I feel like, okay, even if you haven't played WoW, right, but you've played any other kind of MMO, like, you would understand how to open your bags and equip a piece of gear onto your character.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's framed for new players, right? Like, it's framed for the people that have never played the game, even if it's MMO, not MMO specific. Like, I can tell you right now, I took my daughter through there today, and I mean, she went through the whole starting experience in an hour and 15 minutes with some help. I mean, and the tutorials actually helped her, but again, she's, an 8-year-old.
Right.
But she's never really played a game like that. So I think the tutorials and the way that they are helpful to new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I think like some of that stuff, we've been playing the game for so long, it seems obvious to us. But like for someone who's never played an MMO before, like I definitely think like it's really helpful for them, and for what it's geared toward, for what it's specifically designed for new players and all that. I think it does its job really well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, like, as a veteran player, like, we definitely had fun with, like, the tutorials and stuff and just kind of memeing on them a little bit. Like, hey, guys, guess what? I got a new piece of gear.
Do you know about the new abilities since you leveled up?
The new abilities? Did you know that Frostbolt can keep your enemies at a distance, and then when they get into melee range, you can use Fire Blast?
I mean, that's
oh my gosh.
That's the kind of thing, right? Like it's simple things that all of us take for granted, but looking back on it, if you had given me that tutorial back when I started playing WoW, I think it would have been a little bit better off, being like, hey, this is how you actually should act in combat. Keep your distance with Frostbolt, and if it gets close, just Fire Blast and hope it's dead kind of deal.
I mean, that's fair.
I enjoyed when I unlocked polymorph and the trainer's like, "Here, this is what polymorph does."
That's-
and just sheeped me.
That's the other thing, is the class-specific quests inside of Exiles Reach was a very nice touch.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I really liked. Did you do it solo, Mike?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay, so when you do it as a group, if you're playing different classes at a certain point, it basically splits the party because each class has their own a couple specific quests that they have to do. So it was like me and James, we were both playing mages, so we went one way, while Steve and Chrono went the opposite direction at first, and then we ended up just swapping locations, and they did the location that we got sent to first, and we did what they got sent to first. So it was actually really cool.
Well, no,
Gotcha.
that's something that we learned too, is the swapping locations is just simply two different quest hubs. The stuff in between, like the stuff off to the sides, was the difference. So like where you guys went and got the Tome of Polymorph, I got Divine Shield on my Paladin, or on a Paladin? Yeah, on my Paladin.
Yeah, you're
Paladin
first.
And I basically learned how to use Divine Shield and how Divine Shield kept me safe, yada yada. I did it on the did with Emily today on the Priest, and hers was go off the road and res 3 injured things, and that's how you learn Resurrect. Like, it's not anything to do with the hubs, but it's just a moment when they're like, this is kind of an integral part of your class. This is what you do and how you do it.
Gotcha.
I don't know, it's just nice.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was done really well.
Definitely good for like class identity and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
So outside of Exiles Reach, unless there's any other, I mean, let's talk about the actual ending of Exiles Reach, like the little mini dungeon. Thoughts on the mini dungeon?
Don't forget to talk to the person at the end before you leave the dungeon, like I did, because then you have to run it again.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that's the whole thing. It's like the way it ended, I think, was good. I think it hits kind of major story beats, right? Like, you're a new recruit, you're training, you're building what you're supposed to get to, and then here's your big bad. This is how you defeat them. Basic 1-2 mechanics. This is how you use the group finder. You know, this is a healer, this is a tank, this is a DPS. Again, it's all basic things that we take for granted, but if you didn't know what you were doing, it would be helpful.
Right. So let's talk other leveling.
God,
Steve's got a big part in this one.
It feels really good. Feels super smooth, super quick.
I cannot tell you the last time I logged into the game and was like, I'm gonna go level an alt. I've done that the last 2 days. Just because I can. I finished a rogue, 12 hours, nothing. Felt like cake. The progression of it is super smooth. The way the quests work out is super smooth. I know people hate the heirlooms. I think it's freaking hysterical to blow up Horde in war mode inside of hubs when you level up.
Okay, so
I love it.
Talking about that, and I really wish I had a clip of it, but I wasn't streaming when it happened. So the new heirloom gear, if you guys don't know, gives you, whenever you level, you explode in an AoE around you, and it deals a good chunk of damage. So me and Steve are in war mode. We're in the Grand and Outland doing the little Hemingway quest. And we had been coming across a couple horde, did a little bit of PvP.
They were griefing.
But there were 2 horde just chilling in the camp. And so we went to turn in a quest. We weren't messing with them or anything. But, you know, we were kind of expecting them to do something. I didn't realize how close I was to level. So I turned in the quest and just exploded, and they both just fell over.
It was
Wow.
hysterical.
Steve just starts cracking up, and he's like, wait. Please tell me that You
Well, like,
just
'cause-
killed them by leveling.
The whole thing was, it's like there was 3 of them there, and it's just me and Cody at this point. And I'm like, hey, let's just do our best, try to avoid them, careful when you're turning in. And Cody just goes in, turn, boom, and I'm like, bruh, you just killed all of them.
Yeah, why do I feel like my YouTube is gonna go down the rabbit hole of just like level up kills,
Level
in
up
World War
explosion
II?
deaths.
Yeah, we're
New
gonna
Rec
have.
Troy video.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Well, because that's the thing is they removed the PvP scaling. So while we were doing it at like 48, 49, our bonuses were hitting for like 2 or 3K on the explosions, and the people that were there because of Chromie time were like level 15s. So Cody just goes, being level, boom, tactical nuke inbound.
That's actually really good. It was just one of those cool, like, little unexpected things, and it was just great. Nightshade, are you talking about worth doing the new Exiles reach? I would say absolutely, just to experience it, because pretty much all of us have max classes as well, but we just wanted to kind of test it out. Like, it's a good storyline. It's something different too, especially if you've leveled so many classes before. It's a nice change of pace out of your normal starting leveling areas.
And you can get it done in less than an hour, so it's
Yeah, it
definitely worth doing
doesn't take
once.
long at all.
Yeah, even just to play it once, just for the story, I definitely think it's worth.
I feel like we all have that problem.
But just like, I remember being, Mike, in your chat and just giving you leveling updates of like, oh, I'm 20 now. Oh, I'm 26 now. Oh, I'm 35 now. Oh, I'm 40 now. And it's just like, you don't even realize how fast you're going until you start doing things like, okay, I've unlocked 100% speed. Okay, I've unlocked flying. Okay, I've unlocked big flying. Oh crap, I'm 5 levels from being done. Like, it just flows so well. And there's so much choice and so much options. And if you want to go back and you want to experience content, that's the way to do it. And it doesn't feel taxing. It doesn't feel burdensome.
No,
like, there was times when me and Cody were bouncing around trying to maximize our XP gain or minimize our XP gain or whatever. It's like, let's go look at Ring of Blood. Let's go see how that scaled. Let's go look at, let's see what the dungeon quest gives us. And we did one singular dungeon in the 12 hours it took us to level. Like, it feels like you finally have the choice to level up how you want to level up. And it feels good.
Yeah, so you can't go by Steve's rogue because he had the rogue started ahead of time.
No, I took that time out. So I had
you?
like a total of like
Okay.
16 hours played.
Yeah, so it
Total.
was about 12 hours to go from level 10 to level 50. So say like 12 and a half hours if you start from level 1, because I started an allied race. So I'd say about 12 and a half hours. Now that's with like some AFKs and kind of doing this and that. So like, if you get a solid 12-hour block to where you can just sit there and go, you could honestly probably do it in like 10. If you found like a really good route, if you know the questing routes, if you know what the quests are, and just go.
I mean, the other thing too is we didn't have the Drought of 10 Lands. And then I know
True,
for myself,
we forgot about that.
I know for myself, the first 20 or so levels, I didn't have War Mode on.
Okay.
So,
see, I
mean,
did turn War Mode on right at 20, but yeah, we totally forgot about the Drought. Yeah, Strata 10 Lands is the only XP potion that still works.
Yep.
I'd be curious to see, like, once some of those WoW speed levelers and all that, once they get into it, like how fast they can actually cut it from 1 to 50.
It's going to be probably 6 hours. Like, you're going to see people clack it out in 6 hours. And that's fine. Like, that's absolutely okay. I think at this point in time, if you've seen it, right? If you're doing the Chromie time stuff, you know the story, you know the game. You want to get to end game as fast as possible.
It's great too, because if you have casual players, it's still going to take them maybe a week, or somebody that can't log in very much. And I mean, that's fine for somebody at that level, and for people like us that are geared and we've done it before, 6 to 12 hours, that's great.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
so-
say too. Just listening to like when Steve was talking about it. Honestly, like I feel like this is what the game needs, because for so long leveling's been in this weird area where like like at least for myself, like I thought of leveling a character, and it just felt like such to me like a drag. Like, man, I don't want to go through that, but like having good flow and like speed through it, like it sounds like you like just like I said, I haven't made like I made a character to level, but I haven't leveled it very much. You guys are getting me excited to level just by the way you're talking about it. Like it sounds like fun, and that's what leveling should be.
Also realize that our 12 hours was with testing stuff, because we were actually testing stuff to talk about specifically tonight. So like Steve said, like we specifically went out to Nagrand and Outland to test Ring of Blood and see how that felt, see how much XP that gave. We actually went into Draenor because we wanted to see exactly how bad they nerfed like the bonus XP events and the treasures and that kind of stuff. And we were just kind of hopping around. So like if you picked a Chromie time that you really love, if you have an absolutely favorite expansion and you just picked that one Chromie time and just stuck with it and went straight through, again, that time's gonna go down. But we were actually testing a lot of things to just kind of see what stuff was like.
Yeah,
do
like
Kata at all?
Yes, we did Kata. We did the opening of Hydro.
Because I've seen a lot of
Yes.
people confused about that, not realizing that you actually have to hit a certain level before you can do the Kata. You have to have flying already, so I believe that's what, 30 now?
Oh, really?
No. So
yeah.
if you pick Chromie time for Cataclysm, you basically are choosing old world content. So you'll go
Right.
through and you'll do
Correct.
like Westfall and then Darkshire and all that.
Yeah, and people
And
were
then-
just confused. Why am I not going to Hyjal right away?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's one thing.
it's just basically like you're leveling in Classic, and that's just all it is.
Because
I
they
know,
got the revamp.
correct. And I think that people forgot about that, and that's something that people should be a little bit mindful of.
Yeah, so it's just a PSA. If you pick Kata and you're like, why am I in Westfall? It's because, Kata changed those old zones, so you start there. And then once you hit 30 and you can fly, I believe that's when you go to Hyjal.
Yeah. I think Hyjal and all the top tier stuff is starting at 30.
So I'm curious to see. Yeah. Well, before I talk about that, I mean, yeah, we actually talked about when me and Steve were talking about leveling in the first place. We actually had a good conversation about what the best place to start would be, because we were originally just gonna go Chromie time, pick an expansion, and go. But then we were like, wait a minute. A lot of those zones were built around being able to eventually fly. Unlike the classic areas, which are mainly for ground mounts, they're a lot flatter. Yep. They have less, verticality to them. So that's why
we use the word verticality.
We did. I did.
Shut up.
I think it works.
Shut up.
He pronounced it correctly too.
I did.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I know. He's putting on his fucking ninja sweatband. Keep going.
So we decided to start with the classic stuff, get flying, and then go pop into our Chromie time. Because could you imagine actually doing Hyjal without a flying mount?
Well, it wasn't even Hyjal without the flying mount. My concern was simply doing Hellfire Peninsula or like Howling Fjord or anything like that. Like doing WoD without a flying mount would suck.
Yeah.
I almost wish they'd just pick one or the other. If they're gonna be flying zone, like if you're gonna allow flying, design them around flying and just have it unlocked right away, or vice versa. Like just make it only ground.
They did. I mean, they've given everyone Pathfinders now, and I think this is the reason why. The problem is I just don't think they want to give you flying at 10, because I think that just off the rip that feels kind of strong, if that makes sense. So I can understand why if they're letting you choose Chromie time at 10, if they're kind of limiting you to ground mounts, because at a certain point, yes, those were ground mount only zones. It's just the speed of it is increased dramatically with flying.
And can I just say the amount of gold that you get from leveling is nuts.
It's nuts.
Oh, really?
Like worth just doing it to gold farm nuts, or
I mean, I wouldn't say worth doing it to gold farm, but I mean, I literally spent 12k on my rogue that I basically got just from leveling, just to get gear.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just...
like the only thing we had to actually send money from our mains for was the epic flying.
But even then, at that point, I had 1,500 gold after buying the other 3 mounts.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had about 2k after buying flying, but up until that point, like, you make enough gold just from leveling to be able to buy your mount speed increases without really worrying about it. But yeah, I'm curious to see what other interesting ways people find to skip the intros to expansions. Because someone found a way to actually skip Tanan Jungle going into WoD.
I don't know why you would, though. That place gives you, like, the opening thing alone gave us 2.5 levels. Like, that opening scenario gave us 2.5 levels.
Yeah, so the reason why I've heard why people want to skip it is because you can't fly, and it's very linear, and there's a lot of, like, waiting for NPCs to move and that kind of stuff. But how you skip it is you talk to Chromie, you get the quest to go to the Dark Portal, and instead of talking to Khadgar to start, like, the cutscene and that kind of stuff, you just walk through the portal, and it puts you in Draenor instead of sending you into Tanan Jungle.
I feel like that's a bug and not intended.
I mean, it possibly could be.
I mean, it probably is, but I guess like speed levelers would have to check and see if it's faster to go through, because I know people have been skipping the intro for forever by doing the skip in Pandaria, right?
Yeah, but that one's
so you can do that already.
That's a little bit more out of the way and involved, you know?
Yeah.
The one thing I do kind of want to touch on, though, is the slight issue that me and Cody had. Do you remember what it was, Cody?
Oh, the phasing?
The phasing issue. So, if you are leveling a character and you don't choose the actual Chromie time for Cataclysm, but you go to Mount Hyjal, and then your buddy, i.e. in this case Cody, chooses the actual Cataclysm Chromie time, you are phased from each other.
Yeah.
So you have to go back and turn on Chromie time to be in the same phase. It doesn't reset your quest progress, but it does phase you if you're not in the same Chromie time. It's just a weird little bug.
I don't even think it's a bug. I think that would actually be intended because of how everything scales that way. But yeah, I mean, definitely, it was definitely an interesting little.
Yeah, it's definitely an interaction that's worth mentioning to somebody to see if it's intended or not.
So I mean, there were, like Steve said, we ran one dungeon, and the one dungeon that we did get while we were leveling, the last boss had a bugged ability on it. It was either bugged or just overtuned. I think it was bugged, though, not overtuned, because of how it reads in the dungeon journal. So we did Utgard Pinnacle, and it was King Yimmeron.
Oh.
And he does a Dark Slash, which is only supposed to take half of the tank's health. Yeah, it was taking all of the tank's health. So like we started the fight, I was at full health, and I just fell over. And I'm
even through defensives, it just didn't matter.
You don't have enough defensives. He does it too often.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is in order for me to survive it, our healer, our priest had to wings me, and I had to use one of my CDs to get through it.
So you had to hit. Okay, so you had to hit everything, and he does that often, right?
Basically,
often.
Yeah, unless you can push him and phase him quickly.
So that's a little bit overtuned.
It's a little bit of a tuning issue.
I think. I mean, that was from leveling. I think one of my favorite bugs that came out during this whole pre-patch launch was Zanesh and Nyalotha using a Shadowlands boss ability.
Oh my god.
That's perfectly intended. It's just a feature.
I want to know how. I want to know like the science behind how it happened.
I mean, do you want to know, or do you want to keep it a secret and not spoil the magic for yourself? Because I can kind of tell you.
Is it like a similar ability or something?
So
or?
basically, the way it probably worked is they just copied like the spell ID kind of deal. Like they just made a base copy of the spell ID, and then just renamed it and didn't unlink it from the original spell ID.
Yeah.
So it kind of just was like, hey, this spell ID is still in here and it's still working. Let's just trigger.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of my favorite things.
I mean, you had that, and then you had Paranoia hitting for 3 times the amount of damage that it should. Like, if you...
Good, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I think, like, all things considered, though, like, some scaling issues and all that with the the size of the scaling that they did, like, some issues are to be expected, so could have been worse.
For sure.
Oh, it could have been the heck of worse.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't go in there week 1. We didn't schedule a raid. We're like, you know what? There's a strong chance something's broken.
Let's just let everyone else figure it out.
Yeah, we don't want to lose any more raiders to buggy content. Am I right?
Right.
No.
Shout out Flaxnuts.
Oh boy.
Frickin' meme stream.
So I was just gonna say, any closing thoughts on leveling experience?
I loved it. I'm gonna level.
Good for the game.
Try it now for free. Well, actually, no. You do have to sub. So
you have to pay.
Well,
Sorry.
no. You can pay, or you can play up to level 20 now, right?
True.
Like they didn't change that.
True. Yeah.
You can experience a big portion of it for free.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
Oh, you didn't hear about the Warfronts being stupidly
no.
overtuned again? Yeah.
No.
I didn't hear about that either.
Yeah, they are. It's.
is it
You remember
heroic Warfronts, or is it just like the regular Warfronts?
It's just the regular Warfronts.
Oh no.
Well, that's shame on you for going into a Warfront.
It's just Twitter things, you know.
Warfronts in 2020.
Oh boy. Okay. So on to our next bit of pre-patch. Let's talk cutscene, and I'll run the cutscene as well while we sit here and talk
do we
about
have to live react to it?
I've already
Like we
watched
haven't
it.
Seen it.
Have you not seen it yet?
I've never seen it. No.
Okay, well, hang on.
okay.
Is it the one with the boat?
No, this is the Datamined
No.
cutscene that's coming out with the pre-patch quests that are coming. So if you don't want to watch it, say it now.
I'll watch it right now. Let's do it.
Live reaction time. Reaction,
All right,
Andy.
So this is your spoiler warning right here, chat. So let's see.
Don't
here.
go anywhere. Just maybe minimize and mute for a second.
All right. So
seize this power for herself. Instead, she has done the unthinkable. Now, she will come for them all. To finish what she started. And break
Oh no.
who opposed her. Those who held Azeroth together.
Okay, so now Sylvanas is like Mother Earth Gaia powers. That is not
Cody, can you pull back up the video real quick? I want to
Yeah.
touch on a couple things.
Yeah, give me a second. Let's just talk about it, 'cause I gotta actually pull it again.
God damn it. All right, so if you can pull up the screen grab of Tyrande, if you look, the Night Warrior shit is actually bleeding out of her eyes now into her face.
Well-
It actually is like cracking her makeup and shit. Like it looks really cool, like the tattoo. That's number one. Number two, you can clearly tell that Anduin has not PvP'd on a priest ever.
Yeah, Anduin is a noob, man.
He didn't
really.
shackle. He
No.
didn't psychic scream.
He
Like
Oh
didn't
my
pop
God.
his human racial.
human racial and trinket. He could have broken that
Come on.
CC.
And Gen just sat there and watched it. Like, I feel like he should have tanked. He should have taunted.
So like,
Wow.
if you
It's just like, no.
Oh, useless.
so if you look at Tyrande's eyes, if you look at how it's actually starting to like break and crack the tattoo,
Oh yeah.
like that's actually new. Like that is big new thing. That Night Warrior is causing an issue.
I wonder what that means. Like, what's happening to her?
I mean, she's a bad motherfucker, but she's gonna be bad, real bad. But yeah, those were kind of like the two things. Well, the other thing was Bane and I think it's Maya was the other Tauren that he was with, and that's kind of some things that people are like, oh, they're gonna be together, kind of deal.
Isn't that the High Mountain Tauren?
Yeah,
lady
the High
from
Mountain
Legion?
Tauren chick.
Yeah.
I think that's the best shot I'm gonna get of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely who that is.
Yeah, Nightshade. It is the Night Elf markings, but they are starting to break and crack, whereas before they were full markings. But yeah, Anduin and Gen definitely need practice in arenas if they're gonna rock 2v2s.
Yeah, their rating is not very high, clearly. And Sylvan is just soloed. I mean, hers is tuned way too high. I mean, jeez.
Yeah.
So why does Bolvar know that she was gonna come?
I mean, you kind of could guess because Sylvanas has always been after kind of the tools for killing everyone, and having a massive army at her disposal of undead things. That kind of gives her the "I'm gonna come and take it one day" kind of deal.
He just thought she was gonna put it
He was-
on.
Yeah, he just thought she was gonna take the army,
Not,
Yeah.
not
Scourged.
break it.
not break everything open.
Yeah, it is interesting that Gen just basically stood there as well.
No, dude, what do you mean? He let out a primal yell. Like
Oh my God.
he did great. He did perfect.
He used his nerfed Covenant ability.
It's
That
like
must have been the issue. You picked the wrong Covenant ability. so-
wrong ability, dude. But yeah, that cinematic isn't technically out yet, but I'm guessing it's gonna come out when you start doing the quests up in Northrend.
I was gonna say you're probably gonna get it like as you go up to build your outpost in Ice Crown. It's gonna be like, here's why we need to go build this.
Makes sense.
What else we got? What's next? Because that was a freaking dope cutscene.
I mean, that's all we got for the cutscene. So let's talk beta. Or any other closing thoughts on pre-patch?
It's good. Go play it.
Good.
Go
when
play it.
when
Actually, here, let's do it this way.
When
Give it a rating out of 10. Go down the line. Let's give it a rating out of 10. Cody?
If I was to rate it out of 10, I'd probably say like a 7. Leveling feels good. Exiles Reach is really well done. Dungeons and keys feel good right now. I mean, you are kind of overpowered with the Azeroth stuff. But just the issues that they had. I mean, issues are to be expected, but at the same time, how long have you been doing pre-patches now? And putting out, like, major content and stuff like this? You would think eventually, like, stuff like this would be smooth. So yeah, I mean, I'd give it a 7.
Mike?
I think for what it is, like what it's currently, what its goals are and all that. I think.
All right.
I think
Anyway,
they-
James. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
you ran out of mana. Keep going.
Oh my god. Okay, I think for what it's trying to achieve, I think it did good. I'd say an 8 out of 10. I'd like to see the storyline, some of the pre-patch actual, like the quests and all that they've got that they're holding back. So that would be a little bit helpful, because I think, you know, you log on and it kind of like, yeah, there's like our levels are scaled down and there's like some new abilities and whatnot, but then it's kind of like, okay, so what am I supposed to do now, kind of feeling. But like for what they did come out with, I thought was great. So that's why I'd say 8 out of 10.
Do
James?
we know when we're getting the next part of pre-patch? Did they say yet?
The only thing I could find was in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'd say probably 2 weeks, honestly. 2 or
Okay.
3 weeks. James, rate it.
So I can't believe nobody's touched on this, but I will. I am just so happy corruptions are gone. Like, they're gone and they're not coming back. And it's just, I'm gonna rate it a 9 out of 10 just for that. This is the pre-patch that wiped away corruption. So 9 out of 10 there. I'm throwing the first 2 days of, you know, bugginess out the window because it's expected, especially with a level squish like that. I'm impressed they were able to fix it by the 3rd day, honestly.
Yeah.
And got to run a couple higher keys. They're much easier, so you can push at least 5, 6 higher than whatever you could push before, and everything feels good. It doesn't feel bad. So I'm just excited to see how high we can push some keys.
I mean,
Fair.
touching on
agree.
that real quick. I mean, we ran like on 4 fresh characters. We ran 8s and 9s, and I'm talking like in item level 70 gear. Like it's
I
just
think the
clearly
highest we
easier.
did was an 8 or a
Yeah,
7.
but we timed it. Is my whole thing. It's like
Yeah,
we
for sure.
two-chested it.
I mean,
But
we
this is
did
an item
3
level
chests to
70?
8.
Yeah, this is item level 70.
Yeah, this is what we did last night.
Like
Yeah,
it
you can
was,
go
like,
you can go much higher than you were able to before. They're much easier. Nothing hits as hard. Like we did a junkyard. What was it? A 21 today, fortified, and like that stuff didn't hit hard at all. It just tickled.
Yeah, because last I heard last night, you guys were like, yeah, maybe we'll do some 2s or 3s, and
Oh,
here
yeah,
you are
we
doing
thought.
8s.
Yeah, no, we
And
just,
then we just
slammed
absolutely
high stuff.
destroyed them, and yeah.
Nice.
And the class changes for the most part too have been really fun. Honestly, it's really interesting to see how they mesh with the old systems of the essences and the Azerite traits, because they're sort of creating builds that we're not going to see again once Shadowlands comes around, and so that's kind of cool to see
True.
like which specs have changed their major essences and things like that.
I'm gonna keep mine short and straight. I'm just gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, outside of the normal expected issues that are supposed to be expected, I mean, this pre-patch was great. I think even without having story content, there's still enough for you to do to level and to do other things, to tune your classes in the way you want them tuned, get caught up, get ready for gearing. Like 9 out of 10, easy.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm going to be leveling a lot of stuff over the coming weeks to get ready for Shadowlands. But speaking of Shadowlands, let's talk beta. So it was another fairly light week for beta changes, but there were some impactful changes that did come as well. But another light week was to be expected with pre-patch and everything hitting. So one of the big things we got this week is the XP revamp that people were expecting.
Huge.
Huge.
I'm
Like
surprised
cut,
they
cut in
went.
half.
Yeah, I'm surprised
More than
they
half.
went that
Some
deep.
of it was more than half. Like huge.
I have not been on yet to test it, but I almost want to re-level another character now just to see the difference.
So,
Um,
so was it cut in half across the board, or was it only 59 that was cut in half?
So it looks like, from what I'm looking at, it kind of scales gradually. So it looks like they took like 10% off of 50. They took another 10% off 51. They took like 30% off 52. Like it just got that big up to 59 to where it was like a
Okay.
50% cutoff. Like it was huge. And that helps because the leveling in Bastion wasn't bad. The leveling in Maldraxxus wasn't bad. You felt like you were going somewhere and you were getting progression. Where it slowed down was Ardenweald, and it slowed down in Revendreth.
Okay.
And that was your 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. And if you look, they literally chopped all of that out by 80k, 90k,
Yeah.
130k. Like they've taken so much out of that.
Right.
Yeah, because it felt like when you were questing, like you could finish the story pretty quick, but you wouldn't nearly have enough XP to warrant leaving the zone. You'd have to stay in and do side quests if you wanted to hit 60 by the time you're done with the main story, and that didn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, James, but I did just the Ardenweald storyline, and I got, I think, at most 2 levels.
Yeah, mine was about 2, no more though, no more than 2.
Really?
It depended on if you're in war mode or not.
And
So when I
that
did
was
mine.
I think I was in war mode, and
Yeah, I wasn't, which is why I didn't get the exact 2.
no, I was not in war mode, because we were alliance, and that would be
Oh yeah, that's
big
right.
dumb on beta.
Big dumb.
Yeah, but no, so no war mode, and I did even do side quests, and I still only got 2 levels.
Yep. It was bad.
It was a great storyline though. It just felt kind of slow and skittish.
So definitely necessary, but do you think it's too much? Like, do you
No.
think they're going to go back?
No,
You don't think they're going to retune and maybe
Nope.
slightly less?
because I think what this means is you're going to leave Maldraxxus at around 55, 56, which is where people were leaving. And then you're going to get probably 57 through 58, maybe into 59 in Ardenweald. And then Revendreth, you're basically going to cap everything out. And the idea is that you're hitting the last story beats at the last story beats, if that makes sense. Like you're hitting the last bit of story as you're leveling. Like as you're hitting 60, you're finishing everything up.
Okay.
Like my current DK is I think like 58, and it just hit 58, but I'm already 2 or 3 chapters into Revendreth. Like it just didn't feel good.
Mhm.
You still have to do the main quest line, so I mean the time it's going to take to finish the main quest line doesn't change at all, right? That stays the same. It's just it's going to help you a little bit along the way now. You won't be finished with it and go, "Oh shoot, now I have to do filler quests."
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
I also feel like this maybe Blizzard kind of starting to embrace that whole like, let me just get to end game stuff, so I can do that instead of this whole leveling experience. Like,
Yeah, it really does seem like they're going that way, and that's a great thing if they're finally doing that, because we've been asking for it a long time.
I mean, it's just like what they did in live, right? Like they're revamping leveling, making it much faster in here from what we can see.
Yeah.
Like leveling feels so much better, like you guys were talking about earlier, how it is now. So now maybe they see that and they're putting that towards the Shadowlands leveling as well. I mean, it was already known that those zones were slow, but
so
I was a little bit surprised it was to that amount. So maybe they see that and they know,
do you actually level all the way to 60 on beta, James?
I'm pretty much there. I'm like 59 3/4. I'm done with Revendreth.
Do you know what your time was on it about?
I want to say like I did it over like 2 days, and I played maybe 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
about right. I'd say about 10 to 12 hours, depending.
So yes, I mean,
And I
this
wasn't
XP
rushing
cut
at
makes
all.
sense then, because like, imagine it takes you, now that we know from just leveling with pre-patch, it takes you about 12 hours to go from 1 to 50. Imagine it takes you 12 hours to do 50 to 60.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to take like 6 to 8, and that's fine. I think 6 to 8 is reasonable for new content.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the old days of the classic, the leveling being like half the game, like the daunting grind that it is, is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Back then, like, leveling gave you some of your BIS trinkets. It gave you a ton of rep that opened up BIS things for your class. It gave you certain, story beats that opened up for your class. Now it's get to endgame, get your gear through M+, get ready for raid, get your professions going, get your legendaries going. Like, there's nothing really that questing gives you that you use towards endgame. Like, it's all, let's get it done, let's get to that end game grind, and let's roll. And I think them doing this is them kind of realizing that is how you're supposed to do it.
Fair. So, what's next on the list, Steve? What do we got?
The pre-patch catch-up, the beta changes that went into PTR beta, or the pre-patch made it in. Like the
Boomkin changes.
Yeah, the still Boomkin Feral changes. They're still on Suicide Watch. The Shadow Breath buffs, the Frost Decayed nerfs. Basically anything that was turned last week on pre-patch that was announced finally made it into this round of beta. So a lot of the tuning knobs that were being done finally got hit this time.
Okay.
There was 2 other buffs, kind of big though, that weren't in beta. Fury got buffed, and then Holy Priest got buffed too. Holy Priest, I think, got like a 5 or 10% modifier across the board for damage and healing, and then
really?
Fury got, I want to say, somewhere in the range of 10 or 5%.
Okay.
On some abilities, but Arms is still laughable.
Okay, so talking about buffs, we did get the legendary tune-ups this week, or at least some. Like, I'm still kind of confused on what they're trying to do with legendaries, because why everything kind of got buffed across the board, I kind of feel like this was them simply reverting what they did last week. And not really adding a whole bunch of new stuff.
That's the thing, is I think it's going to be easier for them to roll back piece by piece rather than trying to retune everything back up. Does that make sense? Because it's going to be easier for them to go, okay, let's just revert back to this section and this section and this section.
Yeah, because if they make a new one, then they run that new one could either be tuned too high or low, and then that's just
Correct.
double the work.
Correct. So
I mean, are we expecting just number changes with legendaries, or are we looking for any of them to be reworked, or?
I expect some things to be reworked, but I mostly expect number changes. You'll mostly just see the number changes. But if you go down a little bit more, the next thing that we got is the new legendary effect for Havoc, which that's kind of nice. Give me 1 second. I gotta check on my daughter.
So yeah, I mean, I've never played Demon Hunter, so I don't really know much about what kind of impact this is going to have on Havoc. I know Havoc is hurting right now on beta, so I don't know if this is going to help that any.
Well, they changed. What did they change? The Burning Wound was one of them. I think it's a legendary effect.
Burning
one of the new ones.
And Darker Nature.
Okay, if I remember right, Burning Wound is something with the Demon's Bite, dealing damage, right? It's extra Demon Bite damage. I think 5% of attack power.
What are we talking about?
The new legendaries.
The new legendary. I was saying, like, how much is this actually going to impact Havoc? Because I know Havoc is like kind of down there with Boomkins right now on beta.
It just seems like with Havoc, it seems like they're tying a lot of things to Immolation Aura now.
I mean, it's better than them tying it to Momentum again. Like,
or Fell Rush. Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to open up another possible playstyle that's not freaking momentum. But I don't know. I just don't know.
Because from what I recall, momentum wasn't looked very favorably upon, right?
No, I tested it. I didn't like it at all. No, it was not fun.
Like, momentum is a really cool idea and a really cool playstyle on paper, but realistically, like when it comes to execution on raid bosses and dungeon bosses and stuff like that, it in my opinion, it doesn't work. With like having to dodge raid mechanics and boss mechanics and all this kind of stuff, it just neat idea on paper, execution not so much.
I mean, I think it was Jim I was talking to about it. Basically, just saying was like during the momentum build, like when it was back in its peak, you had to make like a triangle to even maximize it, because you basically go to one point, then go back out the other point behind you, and then back to where you started, just to even make it worthwhile.
Interesting.
It just that kind of min-maxing for the amount of damage, it just seems really strange.
Right.
But
and then like if you screw up and you've been full retreat after a long time and you end up in like a boss mechanic.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
You know, like
you set it up, you get the damage buff, and then you have to run out of the group for to drop something off.
Just feels bad.
It'd be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, along with Holy Paladins crying about mana this week, I've heard Jim complain more about 10 yards off of his elite more than anyone else.
So, talking about Holy Paladins crying in the corner,
Oh
Mike.
Man, oh man.
Man, oh man? No, you don't have any of that left.
We've already rashed you, so we'll let you just go.
Okay,
just go for it, bud.
Just
let it go.
Get it off your chest, buddy.
I'm just saying, I have played 3 healers this week on Prepatch. The only one I've really had mana issues with is Holy Paladin, and I've been ranting about it all week. So you guys already know, but I'm just saying, I think they need just a little bit of tuning on Crusader Strike. Having it cost the same amount as a Holy Shock is it makes it really rough, and basically our form of mana, I guess, like each class has it was said on the Sloot Holy Paladin I forget the word, like
table.
Meeting. Yeah, round table, there we go. Basically each healer class has something to help out with their mana. You've got like Mana Tea or Innervate, Water Shield. Holy Paladin's version of that is just sitting there and AFKing and not pressing anything. And that feels really, really bad right now. Just having a GCD just be blank, because otherwise you have to use mana. It feels really bad.
So
okay.
What did they do to cause you to now have mana issues? Because like you literally went from never having to worry about mana to now you're having mana issues?
Yeah. So basically they changed Crusader Strike, which is it's an instant melee ability. It does a little bit amount of damage, and it generates 1 holy power now that there's holy power in the game for Holy Paladins again.
Okay.
They made it cost mana. They made it cost the same. I forget the exact percentage, but basically it's like 280 mana in game right now, and I'm blanking on the number of mana that we have at the moment. I'm not on my max level class at the moment, but it's a decent chunk, and you get 2 charges of Crusader Strike. Basically, where we're at right now, if you pop Wings, so you pop Avenging Wrath and try to DPS as a Holy Paladin, within that 30 seconds.
Wait, can you refresh that statement, roll it back 10 seconds and run that again?
If you pop Avenging Wrath as a cooldown, and attempt to do any form of damage.
Nope, that's not what you said the first time.
Because you're trying to catch me in a way. If you try to go ham and do damage, you basically get to about 60% mana. Like it's very rough, basically.
So you're
what you're
complaining
saying
about
is-
being at 60% mana instead of 100.
Oh, okay. Well, that's in 30 seconds. I'm burning through 40% of my mana though.
Okay.
So we should have
So
raid
if-
leaders be holy paladins, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because they have plenty of time to just sit there and stare at the fight and make call outs.
Mike for raid lead? Question mark?
Mike?
We've tried that already.
Foreshadowing
That
on a
was
guild
bad idea.
announcement?
We
What?
have a guild announcement. Is that the guild announcement? Find
my
out
God.
later.
But basically, they're very mana starved right now as it is, and due to that, what the Holy Paladin like class Discord and all that sort of thing has been talking about is we're basically looking at a build similar to Old Deer build where we're not up. Well, we might still be up in melee, but basically we'll be hard casting Holy Light, which is I believe it's 2.5 second cast time or something like that.
Oh, like
It's affected
BC.
by
Like
Yeah,
BC days.
it's pretty rough.
So welcome back to healing.
Yeah,
and
you're
not
actually a
just
healer again.
So
well, the thing is, like, especially nowadays, healer DPS is really important. Even in other
That's very
classes.
true.
I mean,
Okay, can I ask you a question though, Mike?
mhm.
Do you think you should be out DPSing a Windwalker monk as a holy paladin?
That is a whole nother issue that Windwalker
no.
has. That is not my fault.
Agreed. True. That is Windwalker issues are a whole nother podcast in and of itself, but nobody wants to
Spend a
hear
whole
about that.
episode talking about Windwalker.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like holy paladin has probably the highest throughput damage when you're trying to crank. And I think if that's something that you're wanting to do, there should be a little bit of a drawback of now you need to do mana things. But with that being said, I'm willing to listen to ideas. If you were Ian Hasekosis, how do you change it to make it more in balance? Cody,
mean,
take the damn legendary thing off the screen. What are we, like subhuman?
Lol.
I mean, personally, like, I would be fine if they even tuned our damage numbers. Like, so Jim's mentioning in chat here. I was out DPSing a Shadow Priest and Havoc Demon Hunters at some point in our 20 keys today. Like, I'm okay if you want to tune me down a little bit and make
No, it'd be a lot.
Paladins. Okay, at least a little bit. We don't have to commit to a lot right now, but if they want to do some damage tuning changes so that isn't the case, I'm okay with that. I think like when you get to where you're impacting our mana, like I said this before too. I think people are so used to Holy Paladin being, they're busted, they're broken, and all that. So nerf is justified. Now I agree with that as well. I definitely think they needed to be nerfed. It's just we can nerf it in a way that's more cohesive to the way that the class plays and doesn't feel so bad. That's basically what I'm rooting for.
So what do you think? 60% damage off, no mana cost?
I would go.
No. Fair, not bias, Mike. Fair.
Okay, all right, 40%. 40% damage reduction, no mana cost.
Yeah, so like I said, about
How's that?
60% off, and then no mana cost.
Okay. So here's my question: is this also a problem on beta, or is this only a problem on live now as pre-patch hit? Realizing that we just got level squished, corruption is gone, you still have your essences, and essentially a lot more haste and stats than what you will have once you get into Shadowlands.
It's still an issue on beta. Holy
It's still an
Paladin's
issue on
still
beta.
out of mana. And it's not like, again, it's, and I'm sorry to be that guy, Mike, but it's literally only the Holy Paladins that try and crank obscene amounts of numbers.
What do you mean? Disc Priest does as well? Disc Priest can.
Oh,
can
don't get me
equal
started on
Paladin.
Disc Priest, okay? That's a whole nother conversation that can go right along with Windwalker monks. We can just visit the two ends of the spectrum of broken to fucking god tier, okay?
Tune in next week when we talk about Windwalker monks and Discipline Priest.
Oh man.
But I mean, like I said, give me an actual reasonable thing on how you would fix it. Not just take away like the straight damage to mana component. If they're like, this is what Crusader Strike does now, how would you change it to make it more viable and not broken?
I mean, I like even if they want so they want mana to be a concern for Holy Paladins. That's a fair statement. Like it should be. The way it is in BFA is I haven't even had to like think about my mana bar except for on Azeroth. That's the only time. And that's like realistically as a healer, that's not how it should be, right? Like I should be concerned about wasting my mana or whatnot. So even if in the current build that they have, like if they just tune down the amount of mana that Crusader Strike costs, just I would say like let's say instead of 280 it costs like 140, just half the amount of mana it costs. I don't think it should cost the same as a Holy Shock, which it can damage, it can heal, and it generates a holy power. This is purely a damage button that generates one holy power. So I think that would be a fair nerf.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Question.
And then like numbers can be tuned or changed or is subjective. I don't think it should be as much as it currently is.
What about tying something in with like Judgment or Seal to where if you use like a holy power spending ability after a target that you judge, you get 2% mana back or something?
Would be cool. I would like that. Like I
Too
really
bad it ain't gonna happen.
Well, I really enjoy the damage and healing, like combining it together. Like it feels good as a healer when I can, like if I'm just standing there AFK, that feels really bad. Like I feel like I should be contributing to the team, even if I can't, provide the same amount of numbers as a DPS. Any little amount of damage you can provide can help, and that's basically what I want to do as a healer. I want to keep my team alive. I want to keep them healthy and topped up, but I also want to help contribute when there's nothing to heal.
Mike, you want to top damage too?
He wants to top damage.
Let's tell
This,
him.
is the guy that ran like TD6 on a holy paladin during like heroic reclears and shit. You want to top damage? It's okay.
The infinite stars on Zanesh. Oh, that was good.
He doesn't want to top damage though. By the way,
Nope.
No, not at all. He wants to keep his team alive, right? Yeah.
I mean, next question, Mike. Does the holy buffs on Holy Priest interest you at all?
So Holy Priest is it's tough. They're the standard cookie cutter priests, just generic healer. The thing with Holy Paladin Holy Paladin, Holy Priest is that they can buff them as much as they want, but they don't provide any. I don't want to say any. They don't provide a lot of utility for the raid team. When you compare them to things like Disc Priests who give straight DR or Shamans who give something like Link, they just don't have the cooldowns that are as strong, especially in progression content. I think it's good. It like cool buff Holy Priests. Give them a little bit of healing. They were topping the meters for quite a long time in Nyalotha. But as far as like will we see them in like world first guilds, for example, like no, the utility they provide is not enough when you compare them to other healer classes. I think they would have to have a substantial rework in order to be considered for a competitive environment.
Okay, so knowing what you know about the healing classes and how they are on beta right now, and here's why I'm asking this. I was watching Max earlier this week, and someone asked him this question, so I want to see what your thoughts on it are compared to what he said. What would be your ideal mythic rating healer comp?
I'd say probably double disc. I'd want to throw Resto Shaman in there. They are looking way too strong. And then my bias has to say Holy Paladin.
Okay, so that is actually what he said would be, as things stand right now on beta, that will probably be the heal comp that you see a majority of Mythic and cutting edge guilds running, which is 2 Disc Priests, 1 Pally, 1 Shaman, with a floater of something else. So yeah. I don't know. I thought it was curious. And one of the reasons that the 2 Pally or the 2 priests come into play, especially on the first raid, is because of the last boss. I mean, Disc is strong overall, but apparently the last boss has an ability to where the entire raid gets thrown up into the air. And there are, I guess from what he was saying, there are 3 major raid cooldowns that will save your raid. Devo Aura is 1. Spirit Shell is 1. And I cannot remember what he said the last one was. Rallying Cry was the 3rd one. Which isn't even off of a healer, that's just, But he said those 3 major raid CDs are the only 3 things currently that will save your raid from that ability.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And that's the thing too, is DR is super, super important. And that
DR is always stronger than raw healing.
Yes. And that's the thing, is why that's what makes like things like Holy Priests, they got a buff. That's great and all, but they don't provide anything of that sort of nature. So that's why you're not going to see them in world first environments and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Trying to loop it back around to the Holy Priest thing, but yeah.
So you're still sticking with Paladin, right?
Oh yeah.
To change the roster sheet.
So
I'm out of mana, need to change. Hold on, gotta redo my ink.
I from what I've played in Prepatch Keys, especially today, I'm still having fun with it. I told you earlier, like being able to weave certain things like Shield of the Righteous, I think it's called, where you slam a bunch of enemies in front of you with your shield and gain a ton of armor. I like the changes that they made, aside from like mana issues aside and all that. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think they're not going to top healing meters like they have been in BFA, but I still think Pally is going to be a strong choice. Now I am going to level up my Disc Priest too, because they are looking mighty fine. But for progression's sake and all that, I'm sticking with the Paladin for now.
Okay.
Until like if I level up in Shadowlands and I'm just miserable playing Holy Paladin, then we'll see. But
I mean,
it stands for now.
You're gonna want one no matter what. I feel like they're just because of their
Right.
CDs and their auras.
Just
you
Diva
want
auras
one.
be good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I haven't been like, hey, you should probably think about switching because it's really bad. Nah, like you're gonna want Diva Aura. Having a 40-yard, what is it, a 20% DR without having to have people stacked up. It's just good. Like it's really good. Like you think about Link or Spirit Shell or the other one, Barrier. Like
now Devo is
Spirit Shell. You don't have to be stacked up for though.
No, Spirit Shell you don't, but like it's kind of like Spirit Shell, but Spirit Shell doesn't give DR, it's just absorption. Like the Barrier itself is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now Devo is they did nerf the auras, so now Devo's just 15% DR.
It's still 15% DR.
It's still
exactly
raid wide 15% DR.
I wonder if does Spirit Shell, so Disc Priest got a talent called Lenience, where if they apply an absorb shield, I can't remember if it's just power word shield, but I think that would be the only thing that applies in current, except for Spirit Shell. But they get a 3% DR on their absorbs. So I wonder, technically, you could get DR as a Disc Priest, not just through not just through their big bubble, but through their shield as well.
Wasn't that?
I don't know,
I think
I'll
that
have
was
to
like an
check.
Azeroth trait or something with Atonement, where Atonement gave the DR, but now if they're tying it to the shield, that may be better.
It may be. I know Lenience has been in since.
It's
like,
the
TFA.
same talent row as Spirit Shell.
Then that's maybe what it is. Maybe it's just been a talent, and then yeah, it may have just been a talent that whole time, and I
That
just may
makes
be
sense.
dumb because I'm normally dumb, and that's okay.
So winners and losers of beta changes this week.
Everyone is a winner.
No, I gotta say, man, I don't want to necessarily say Shaman is a loser based on changes, but based on lack of changes for enhancement and Ellie, I would say that kind of sucked. I was kind of hoping we'd get something for any of the two DPS specs.
I think that's coming. I think they're gonna hit the legendary tuning first. You're gonna see the sporadic buffing of certain classes. I mean, I think it's gonna come down the pipe. I think being bummed about it is okay, but I don't think leaning too much into it right now is a reason to.
So, I mean, what do you think were the most impactful changes from beta this week, from legendary buffs, nerfs? Because I have a couple that come to mind.
I mean, go ahead, James.
No, well, I was just gonna say for me it was the BM Hunter Soul Forge Embers. Lighting your tar trap on fire is a thing again, and that's a good thing because it's a lot of fun, and I hope that with the big damage increase they did to it, it'll make it mainstream again for Mythic Plus, because that's really the one I would want to use.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that seems very Mythic Plus friendly too, just the AoE. Yeah,
and even in the raid bosses that I've seen in Castle Nathria, a lot of them are AoE, and it's like grouped up AoE, so it'd be good there too.
I know typically your tar trap slows. Do you still get that effect even when you throw the Ember in, or does that effect go away?
It should. Yeah, it still should.
Okay.
Because they're still in the tar trap. As long as they're still in the trap.
Tar trap.
Now, with a dot, I don't think they have to stay in the trap once they get the dot.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the other big one, well, one of the other big ones for me was the Wilford's buff for Warlocks.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Going from 1 second cooldown reduction to 2 second cooldown reduction. Having a 1 minute dark glare pet on Affliction.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Which Kalamazzi was testing that yesterday, I believe.
And was that accurate?
I haven't seen his results yet, but
okay.
Yeah, he probably posted them today. Yeah, that, and then just solidifying that Affliction is viable in keys, but that Destro build with the Infernals is definitely going to be viable, and probably you're going to see a lot of it, because it's literally just, which pack do you want to delete? How many would you like to delete? Okay, just pull them all together and just let the Warlock do his thing. His or her thing. Just do it.
I'm really also looking forward to just how many people die at the start of a dungeon when you summon Doomguard.
That's been a lot of fun, actually. We've been doing that in keys. What are we? I think we've done 2 times where no one died and 1 time where you died, right, Cody?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As the key was starting?
Yep. Right as the key was starting, just fell over dead.
But I did get to keep him for an entire key, so that was nice. Doomguard is back, sort of.
So I think another big buff was the Mighty Poor legendary for Brewmasters, which got changed to Celestial Brew increases your armor by 25% for 7 seconds, up from 15. and Purifying Brew has a 25% chance not to consume a charge, up from 15. So 1 out of every 4 of your Purifies should be free now and not consume a charge, which is actually huge. Prot Pallies got some nerfs on 2 of their legendaries, which was Bulwark of Righteous Fury. They target capped that to 5. And then the super fun one, which was the Avenger Shield, has a 50% chance to have its CD instantly reset, got nerfed down to 35%.
That needed to happen.
That needed to happen.
Yeah.
However, if this conduit change goes live that they put in,
It's fine. It's not broken.
no,
Just let it happen.
It's actually broken.
No, it's not.
Resolute Defender. It's an endurance conduit for prop tallies. Shield of the Righteous extends Ardent Defender's duration by 20% and reduces the cooldown by 1 second.
Yep. I think it's fine.
That 1 second scales all the way up to 2 at max rank.
So here's why I think it's fine, and the reason it'll stay. Blood DKs have a Lichborn conduit that literally makes their Lichborn give them DR scaling up to 20%. And Lichborn is on a 1 minute CD.
Okay.
Blood DKs also have a conduit that gives them direct time off of their Icebound Fortitude. Like, I'm talking direct, just flat time off. Yeah, like those 2 things make me think that this Ardent Defender nerf, or the Ardent Defender conduit's going to stay in.
Okay, fair. So this is going to be kind of a short section this week, but just general state of beta. I know we haven't been on beta a whole lot since Prepatch came out, but I also feel like there's not a ton that has changed since we were last running keys and stuff on there. It's mainly just been legendary nerfs and buffs. I'm really hoping next week is like a really big beta week.
I mean, I think this week is the starting of a really big beta week, because the XP changes gives us something to test, right? It gives us the ability to go, man, this feels better now, or man, this feels worse. I mean, obviously it's going to feel better. Like, I don't think that's going to be a question. But the question is how much better it's going to feel. I just haven't gotten around to testing it yet. But in the form of class changes, yeah, there's not many happening.
I was gonna say there's not many. Like, I want to get on beta just to get more familiar with the dungeons and run more keys and.
Yeah, I'd like to see the 10. I'd like to see the
prideful
effects.
effects.
Prideful, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can play around with Prideful. It's gonna be fun to see.
Segueing into our main weekly segment, I want to test out Prop Pally on beta.
I bet you fucking do.
Yeah, you just discovered them, didn't you? In the pre-patch. And you got hooked like I did when I first played one.
They just feel really good.
They really do.
Like, they feel really well put together, and I am not used to having like 5 different CDs that I'm able to press, because I'm used to playing a Brewmaster who, congratulations, you have Dampen Harm on a 2-minute CD and Fortify Brew on a 7-minute CD. I mean, you have Zenmed too that you can absorb magic damage with, but as soon as you get hit, it negates the effect. Like, you don't have a ton of cooldowns. So I really need to test out Prop Pally, because I'm kind of side-eyeing Prop Pally now, possibly as a main for
cheating hooker.
Well, you guys have a Mistweaver healer, right? So you're fine.
We do.
Still have the debuff, so that would work.
Yep. But so, like I say, Brew. I still like Brew. I just need to see how things feel, and obviously we're still a ways from launch, so there's no telling what could change. But I do have one question for Steve about beta. that we found in the patch notes.
Uh-huh.
Under the anima power section, there was a new thing added called Tank Threat Modifier.
Yep.
So
you've been asking for that.
That is, yes, but here's the thing. Are we thinking it is misplaced in the pre-patch notes, or are we thinking that it is specific to Torghast for running groups because all the DPS get major powers and you basically cannot hold threat as a tank in there?
I think it is misplaced, and I think you're going to see a tank threat modifier coming in relatively soon. I think there is something coming out, even if it's a minimal 20%. You're going to see tank
They
threat
need
change.
it. They
They do.
need it.
They really do. Especially with the class tunings coming, I'm pretty sure with class tunings coming, you're going to see that tank threat modifier come into
That
play.
would make sense.
Yeah, because they're increasing the damage on all the DPS legendaries, so it's only fitting the tanks need a little bit of help there.
Yep, tanks need love, because right now you're having to choose between hearing your DPS bitch about how they have aggro or saving your own life, which is really annoying.
And guess what? As a tank, I'm saving my own life because if I die, the rest of the group dies, so that one DPS can bite the dust.
Yeah, I let James die a lot on beta. Or let him get at least hit once or twice.
It's sad, man. You just ice lance a couple times and then an angry mob comes and whacks you.
Frostmage isn't broken, by the way, though.
It's not. It's perfectly balanced.
Also,
Around ice lance.
Around ice.
Public service announcement: if you play a rogue or a hunter, please learn what tricks of the trade or misdirect button is.
Not
Por
even that.
favor.
Not even that. If you are a warlock playing this video game, please learn what the ability Soulstone is and understand that it is a B-res. And then don't fight with someone when they tell you that it's a B-res, and then you just look dumb.
I haven't heard this story.
It was the Utgard Pinnacle, okay?
God, where's my
We're running-
drama alert button?
We're running with this warlock, and I swear to God, Cody dies. I'm like, B-res the tank. And he goes, I can't do that. You have to put it on before he dies. And I'm like, dude, you literally just click it on him, and he comes back to life. So what does the guy do as we're running back? He goes, no, see, I clicked it when I had myself targeted, and I soulstoned myself. I'm like, bruh. And then after we get done with the key, he messages me and goes, you know, a lot of things changed with the pre-patch coming out. You should really go look at all of your 120s and see the new class abilities. And I'm just like, oh,
God.
you poor, poor summer child.
Sounds like this Utgard Pinnacle was.
It sounds like he needs to go to Exiles Reach.
It was
maybe...
quite the experience. So,
Yeah.
you know what the tricks of trade thing just reminded me of? Is that was a small bug that we encountered while leveling too. That Steve was actually trying to trick me during that dungeon, but it kept popping up an error that I was too low of a level to actually be tricked.
Correct.
Oh.
It only happened in one dungeon, though. It was only in the Utgard Pinnacle, which was
we
really
only
strange.
ran one dungeon.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is it only happened once. Like, in the outside world, it was fine. But in the Utgard Pinnacle, it was broken, like, the entire time.
But, yeah, so there was that. So, yeah, main watch. What are we still thinking about mains? I know, Mike, you just said you're still looking at the Holy Pally.
Hold on, Mike's still drinking. Come back to him when he has full mana. Oh, do we want to talk about that too? The water nerf?
I was actually going to mention that. Especially coming from a healer perspective, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who does a lot of Mythic Plus, pushes high keys on Mythic Plus, and you also do Arena as well. What's your takeaway from the drinking nerf that they actually put in?
I think it has a lot of implications. I've been testing that as well, and it does kind of suck a little bit because basically what you do before, like if you did have like mana issues, it's kind of like you know how in like in raid you can basically like kind of I call it like stutter drink. It's like stutter step. Like if you start moving your character like over to start casting an ability, and then you take another step and then you cast basically it's kind of similar to that, and where basically in between mob groups, you would drink, you'd gain back 10 or 15% mana, go into the next group, do it all over again. So that way, you didn't have to stop in order to sit there and fully drink. Like, you didn't have to deplete your mana fully. You could just slowly get a little bit back piece by piece.
Right.
Now you basically can't do that. So basically, what you have to do is you have to just sit still and drink. It sucks. Just coming from, I mean, I think I'm especially biased because I'm salty about mana stuff with Holy Paladins right now. But on top of that, not being able to do that, like where I actually got to sit down for a good 15 or 20 seconds in between pulls, it feels bad.
Right.
Like I had a couple of times where I had to tell Jim, for anyone that doesn't know, is our tank, I had to tell him, like, okay, hold on, I've got a drink, like, because I was at 20% mana and I didn't think I could support the group if they kept pulling into the next pull. Which
So did
normally
did that change go live with Prepatch, or is that on beta?
It's live with Prepatch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was happening the keys that we were doing today, where I had to be like, okay, wait, hold on, let me get a little bit, because the thing is too, like, sometimes you start drinking, and if you pull a boss, if the boss has, we'll say, like an AoE pulse ability, it'll pull you out of that drink.
Right.
So if you're already not gaining very much mana until you stop and you sit there to drink for 3, 4, 5 seconds, I don't know exactly how long it is right now, or all that. Like, you basically have to put everyone on hold and be like, stop pulling stuff, don't do anything, let me drink.
Okay.
Oh, I made a purpose of that when he was healing. I was like, welcome to being a real healer, and I just kept pulling.
I used to do, see, this isn't just a Holy Paladin thing though. I used to do this all the time on my Resto Druid when I'm in a Resto Druid. It's just you'll grab a little bit of mana and then you keep going. It helps, like, it's important to so on top of the rest of your group being able to continue to pull, the longer you're sitting there drinking, that's the longer that you're not, doing any damage or popping people up, so you can do damage and contribute more. So on top of your, just having to sit there for 20 seconds straight, you're not contributing to group DPS or anything, which in turn slows things down and can make the key last longer, basically. So I think, like, the implications of this change are really pretty big. It certainly feels bad in my opinion.
Oh man, you know what solved that problem? Just don't go out of mana.
Gotcha.
So you like the changes then?
No.
Oh boy. All right.
We started a topic and then just straight diverged from it immediately.
It just went off the cliff, dude.
James.
Did I not answer the question?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh my god.
What happened to where Cody started something and then it got us onto another tangent and then you did something and tangented off of that, and now I'm imagining James is going to say something about how Frostmage isn't broken.
Frostmage is cool.
Someone in chat, Sales says Manapot on CD. Well, the thing is, Manapot is 5 minutes long now. So you can Manapot once every 5 minutes. Just wanted to put that out there.
Anyway, James, hit us with it. Frostmage.
What?
What do you got? What's your main?
Oh, you want my mains?
Yeah,
okay.
This week.
So
that's the part we were originally on before we got fucking sidetracked.
Wow, you're right. Jeez. So Warlock is a dark horse back on the table.
Okay.
Because I've been playing around with Affliction and I really enjoy that. Shaman, I'm kind of like, it's still there, but it's kind of lost as a position. It's moved down just because I'm still waiting to see the changes. Like, I need to see something.
Okay.
And then possibly BM. And then Frost Mage.
So basically, Warlock took your third place spot, and Shaman moved down a peg.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Well, no, I would say Warlock is like right on that cusp of 1. It's sitting at 2.
Oh,
right up
higher
there.
than Hunter.
For right now, yeah, definitely for right now.
Interesting.
Because Hunter, they still have a 4-second res pet, and I mean, to be fair, the pet wasn't dying in these keys that we did today, but I have a feeling it's gonna be different in Shadowlands.
Yep.
So I don't trust that until they change that. It's not an option.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but at least Warlock has that too. But at least they have a short CD that they can get an instant summon. BM does not.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be a DPS main now. I'm gonna be rogue and then mage, and then no, I'm still gonna paladin. Paladin is by far and away my favorite tank right now. Druid is probably gonna be second or third, and then DK is gonna fill whatever gap is taken by the druid. Because let's just face it, monk is still fucking monk, even though that change is having me look sideways at it again. And then, fucking warrior, dude. I feel so bad for warrior tanks.
Steve, how we
need
feeling
love.
how we feeling about the demon hunter though?
I don't play demon hunter. That's why I have Jim.
What's a demon hunter?
Trust me, from what I hear, demon hunter is fine, and I don't doubt that demon hunter is fine as a tank. I had a very large, extensive 6-hour conversation with him where honestly, if we get him on here, it will literally be an all tank episode because that's all we'll go back and forth about. About self-healing tanks versus mitigation tanks, and then implications of too much self-healing on some self-healing tanks. It was just a good conversation to have. Like that's
Jim needs to get beta so we can then have an all tank beta episode.
Yeah, I mean I wouldn't mind that because Kella's been tanking in beta too, so we can get Kella and Jim, you, me, just tank galore.
So I have a question. You asked me this last week about Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
What would they have to change for Demon Hunter in order for you to
Nothing. I would never play Demon Hunter.
Why?
It's not a playstyle that I enjoy.
Well, that's the thing is
there's you would fundamentally have to break the class and change it. I was talking to Jim about it, about things that they could do to kind of bring Demon Hunter mitigation in line versus their self-healing, and it's like they'd have to buff Demon Spikes to keep it 100% AM. They'd have to take away a bunch of the healing components and make their active mitigation some kind of stacking or something, or just make it absurdly strong. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't, and this was the thing that Jim said to me, and if I'm misquoting you, Jim, you can tell me because you're here. He likes living on the edge of destruction. He likes feeling like he's about to die and then healing himself back up to full. I like more stable tanks to where if I'm starting to get low, I can pick myself out of a hole, but it's going to take time for them to get me to that point.
Makes sense.
It's just two different play styles. I just will never play it too. It's the whole blind thing.
Wow.
All right. So
I did it right. He said pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. All right.
That was literally a 6-hour conversation. We started from...
that was because we left the channel after so long because we just couldn't listen to it anymore.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
Yeah, so like I say, as of right now, Brewmaster is still gonna be my main, but I'm side-eyeing Pally right now, and I need to get on beta and test it. So I need to go set one up and then like run keys with people. So let's do our drinks of the week segment.
Skip.
Do you want to go first or you want me? Go ahead, James.
I'll just go. Mine was I got some tea. It is the Bigelow tea. It's my favorite brand. It is chamomile, vanilla, and honey, and it's great for allergies, for sore throats, or just if you want to relax when you come home.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Yeah, and
I think
it's
I've heard of
caffeine
that brand
free, and
before.
yeah, if you haven't tried it, definitely try it. You can find it at supermarkets. I just add in a little bit of honey and stir it.
Mike?
So I got this week this boba tea. It's lemonade plus strawberry boba from this place called Juju, and it's actually very, very good, very sweet, which is what I like. I got a big sweet tooth. It's very tasty. It's similar to a strawberry lemonade, except basically have gummies, and I actually drank it all. You can see some of the boba at the very very. It was very good.
That's good.
Would recommend.
Most people have heard of this, but I have the peach peace tea this week. Compared to like Arizona and other stuff like that, they don't actually use like high fructose corn syrup in theirs. So it's a little bit on the healthier side. Also not as sweet as some of the other ones. But yeah, really good flavor. Highly recommend.
Is it a suitable energy drink for Shadowlands leveling?
No.
No. Okay.
Nondescript
we will
lemon
have
lime.
an energy drink segment for that.
Steve's got a mystery drink.
Nondescript, no brand sponsor lemon lime drink.
Cool.
Sponsor us.
Wow.
Because we are pro gamers.
You got to keep your your balance of things. Not sponsored.
All right. Q&A time, and we actually have 3 questions in Discord.
We do.
So if you guys
Wow.
have more questions, post them in chat, and we will get to them after we pull from Discord. So with Twitch selling out to Overwolf for add-ons, which client or place is going to be the go-to for add-ons now?
What was that place? It's the new place. It's something.io. Like
Isn't it like wowinterface.io or something?
it's like wowup.io.
Yeah, I think it is WoW Up.
Like it's some new thing that like has been keeping up to date with all of the changes on beta. There it is, wowup.io.
Okay.
That is where you're gonna go to get add-ons.
Because here's the thing, I am never installing Overwolf onto my computer, period.
I don't know anything about that. What is Overwolf? Is that not a
It's-
good thing?
It's really bad. It's
No.
it's
See, I would
very
have just installed that. I had no idea.
it's very intrusive to the point of it like mandates pop-ups, not like pop-ups, but like overlays onto things for no reason. It like gives you like updates for no reason.
Yeah, no,
It's
thank
really
you.
bad. It's just really, really bad. I had it in for like one day and I was like, I can't do it.
And they,
What?
what was it? I was gonna say they got caught like tracking data or something like
Yep.
that too.
Yep.
Oh no.
Like
Yeah,
they
James-
Caught tracking
seriously
data.
got caught.
I'm in the same position as you, James. I don't know very much about it, but I was asking people on stream, and not a single person had a good thing to say about it.
And
Oh,
it's not. I've used it for like League of Legends and stuff before, and it's not good. Like
I couldn't even stomach it for League because the one time they brought it into League, it was like you paired Overwolf with op.gg and you could see like the match breakdowns through Overwolf. But the problem was is like the Overwolf overlays were so just big and just so intrusive and just such a pain in the ass. Like the fact that wowup.io is doing something to combat Overwolf, or even if wow.io is buying Overwolf,
no,
it needs to happen.
So did you? So, Killa, which one is currently cease and desist talking? Is it Overwolf to WoWup or is it WoWup to Overwolf?
Pretty sure it's Overwolf to WoW Up.
That's what I would assume, is that they're talking cease and desist with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's their property or whatnot.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I mean, here's the thing though: if WowUp.io starts making its play, you'll just see people giving add-ons to there rather than Overwolf. Like, you'll just stop seeing people update.
On that note, doesn't WowIO or WoW, I guess WowUp.io, doesn't that allow you to update Elv without having to direct download it?
I think someone said that, something about that. Yeah,
that's what I had heard.
Yeah, I think it's
so. That's a huge change because you can't do that on the Curse client.
Yeah.
I also heard, I heard something about they had ads like directly in the game that you're playing as well, which is super skeevy to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Overwolf, yes, it's really bad. It's really intrusive shit.
Someone told me that.
Yeah.
Good to know. Won't be installing that one.
Let me explain. So you're either going to go back to WowUp.io or you're going to be going to like some other.
I would rather just go to each like website if I have to, and
yeah, you'll go to each individual Discord.
That's what you might end up doing, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you can always just manually install. Go back into the old days before add-on managers were a thing.
Just go into the developer Discord and they'll have a link to it. Most likely, it's easy.
All right. So, how does the new level squish feel for running old raids? Which I don't know because I have not tested any old raids yet.
I have not either.
I did.
And
I went and got T-Mog on my rogue for like an hour straight.
What, in like LFR?
No, like literally just T-Mog.
Just
running.
Like, you did old raids.
I
got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
It feels fine. You literally run around a fan of knives, everything, and it just kills it all in one shot. Like it feels like it did before the squish. It feels perfectly all right.
Cool.
I did see they changed, like, when they nerfed some damage abilities. They nerfed something in, I think, Hellfire Citadel maybe, and something else in Taurus. I could be wrong.
In Taurus.
Yeah. So I think some of them might have been scaled a little too high when scaling went into effect, but it looks like they already changed it. So.
So Seals is saying that the only two things he's seen so far is that AoE caps make it a little bit tougher to kill things, and that you aggro mobs, I guess, because the lower level in scaling hasn't
just
quite equaled out aggro radius yet.
Yeah, but you run through there and you kill it anyway. Like, I don't remember a single time when I ran through an old raid and was like, I'm gonna skip every bit of trash. No, I just ran through everything and just thunderclapped it as I walked by.
Big dumb tank.
Big dumb tank me smork through. Like, I don't know. I guess I just didn't notice that I was just having to hit fan of knives on everything as I was running through.
All right. How does this level squish feel when doing Mythic Plus currently, which we talked about earlier? Feels really good.
Yep, feels good.
Feels overpowered, honestly.
I just feel like people aren't taking as much damage.
Now, are we thinking that it's because of the level squish, or are we thinking that it's because of just the fact that everything is kind of tuned down because it's kind of that die down period for going to Shadowlands?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's the combination of a level squish and everything being tuned down number wise, but you still have the BFA systems like the Azerite and the essences and stuff like that, which isn't equaling those where those numbers are, because these numbers are, and this is always how it is for a pre-patch, like these numbers are for Shadowlands. These are not numbers for BFA and the systems that are currently in place. These are numbers for the new systems that are coming.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I would just gravitate more towards tuning, just because while we did get squished, we also lost corruptions, which were ginormous amount of damage, and especially for like tanks with TD, like we lost all that damage, yet we can still push like 5-6 levels or even more higher than we could before.
Yeah.
So I would just say probably more so tuning, but definitely both, a combination of both.
All right. So, any other questions in chat?
We haven't had any. I've been watching. If there was any, I would have pulled them.
All right, so I have heard through the grapevines that there are a couple of major guild announcements. And just so you guys know, if you guys are new here and you're not actually part of the guild, we are all members of the same guild. We all raid together. So it's a very unique dynamic that we have for this podcast as well, because we can talk about a whole bunch of different things. But there are a couple big guild announcements for this evening.
Put the picture up first, and then have James do it, because it's James's announcement.
Sure. Yeah. So doing the recruitment posts and stuff, I keep calling them Team 1 and Team 2, or Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, which is fine. So I don't know. I just thought let's name them. And so, somebody suggested Team A and Team 1, which was kind of funny.
Team A and Team 1.
Yeah, I thought that was good. But we just decided let's go with the guild colors. I mean, we're all one guild, like you said. And so it's going to be Aspire Gold and Aspire Black. And those are going to be your two teams. The Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be Aspire Gold. And the Sunday, Monday is going to be Aspire Black.
Until Sunday, Monday takes Cutting Edge first, and then we get the gold title. Pog.
I mean, you can have the gold title. We'll take the black one. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if there's like a huge thing, like we want gold, yeah, sure, take it. It doesn't matter which, because they're both one and the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that we've been talking about for a while, and we got suggestions from people in the guild, but a lot of them were just kind of like trolly name suggestions. So it's one of those things where we were kind of getting down to the wire of we got to just make a call, and rather than typing out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, haha,
Right.
like it just gets annoying. It was a much needed change, and everything from Discord tags to in-game rank tags should be changing and reflecting such.
And moving forward too, if we ever add more teams, I mean, this kind of solidifies these were the first two teams, and kind of, we'll probably, add more colors later if we add more teams, something like that. But
it makes it easy to just add more teams with just different colors to them.
That was one of the main things, was like, well, this works now, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday, Monday being the names. But if we ever add more teams, then you can't have that. So this just allows us to maybe branch off and add some more teams down the line.
Cool.
I then have an announcement to kind of couple with that announcement. Next Tuesday, that would be the 20th, October 20th. I want to do, we don't have to raid, we don't have to do anything like that. I need to get everybody on each raid team on their specific raid nights, i.e. it would be the 20th for Tuesday, Wednesday. It would be the 25th for Sunday, Monday, or Black and Gold, as they are now called. We need people in Discord for minimum 15-20 minutes, just so we can get an actual head count of players that are going to be there, players that are interested in raiding, etc. Just to make sure that the people that are there are still wanting to do it. People that have signed up are still wanting to be there. With that being said, once we have that head count, the following week, so the following week being the 27th and the 1st, we are looking to get back into doing either have it be mythic raiding if we've got the people that want to do it. We are looking to do, if it's not enough people, we'll just get into a heroic raid, let people test their things out, let people try things. This is going to give it enough time to get the bugs and things out, get everything fixed. If people are leveling new mains, their mains should be leveled, kind of have some gear on them, and ready to go. These raids, at the moment, are not mandatory, okay? So if you have it, and you want to come in and want to test things, if we don't have the numbers, we'll just do heroic. But the head count is mandatory. I need people there for the head count just to make sure that our numbers are spot on. So again, 20th, 25th, those are the head count nights. 27th and the 1st, raid nights. That's all I got.
Shadowlands classes or old mains?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask.
preferably if we can fit the Shadowlands classes in, Shadowlands classes. If there is an issue with overlap of, you know, old mains and we don't have enough DPS spots or we don't have enough tank spots, then we can kind of finagle and work with it there. But for right now, I want to try and get Shadowlands classes in so people can get familiar with the roles, familiar with timings, and start working with everybody.
And also that gives us a better idea of what the rosters are looking like and what we need for each team if people are on their classes that they're going to be doing for Shadowlands, so we can kind of see and get like an actual, this is what this person is actually going into the expansion with.
Correct.
All right.